Final Destination Bloodlines slaughters a franchise record with 102 million opening. This movie, the highest grossing before that, I believe, was in the 20s for The Final Destination, which was the worst movie of the bunch. Most people agree. But man, this was a great redemption story for Final Destination, and it's just proof that people love this franchise, and they want more of it. So, also the icing on the cake. I hate to call it that, even though we lost Tony Todd. But what I mean by that is that, we got probably the best version, I think, of Bloodworth. Just the character actually adding some heart and emotion to him. And then Tony Todd gets to really say his goodbyes to everybody because he knows he's passing. And I was thinking about that. Like, has that ever happened where an actor's in a movie and he gets the opportunity to say goodbye and it be, printed in cellular?
Unintentionally, but Donald Pleasance in Halloween 6, that final line that he gives is very, very much, although I think he knew his time was running out. He didn't know it wasn't like he had a prognosis where it's like, you got a month left, but he knew his time was running out. And Christian and I actually talked about that when he says, I have a few more things to attend to here. The camera holds on him as they drive away.
Dude, gets me every time.
I felt like that was a goodbye too, in a way.
Dude, when I watched that in the theater, and I know I'm aging myself, but and it wasn't even a packed theater. It was, because it was Halloween 6 and the franchise was kind of starting to go downhill. Maybe too much time had passed. 5 didn't really leave a good impression, but if it was just me in that theater, man, when I saw Donald in that last line and he says, I have a few things to say, man, I welled up a little bit because even back then I was a Halloween fanatic. I jumped on board for Halloween 4 and I was hooked. That was my boy. That was it. And then, I was in there with Pleasance and I loved Loomis more than anything. And, just like the documentary says, the franchise has not been the same without him. Yeah, we've had some great movies since, but there's just something about, Loomis, Donald Pleasance in a Halloween movie that it just adds. I think he was just as important as Myers, when you get right down to it. So,
brutal. And recently we had, I know it was a couple years removed from when he passed, but I think, Val Kilmer reprising Iceman in Top Gun Maverick was a send off of, like, they knew that I don't think he acted after that. And, we knew he was not well at the time. So that was another one that, I think was an emotional moment. But yeah, here in Final Destination Bloodlines, they do it. I don't think you could do it any better because not only does the story like tie everything together with all of the previous movies, but to actually give us like a good answer as to how Tony Todd's character, how Bloodworth ties into everything was done really well. You could tell the people that make this movie care about it. And then to give him that moment where he does have, like, it's not just a cute cameo of, oh, there's the Candyman guy. Like, it's it's like a nice scene that breathes, and he's got that excellent send off, which apparently was something that he, improvised or was given, he was given the opportunity to just kind of come up with his own lines there to say goodbye to everyone.
That was really cool. Yeah, because I read that, like, I guess the director said, hey, if there's anything you want to say, go ahead and say it, and he said, hey, I can't remember the exact line that he said, but basically cherish every day that you have,
you don't know when it's going to be the end of it. Yeah, it's passing around all over on social media. I've been seeing people post the quote. So yeah,
I think this movie's going to have legs too.
Life is precious. Enjoy every second because you never know when. Or enjoy every second. Life is precious. I tend to enjoy what little I have left. Enjoy every second because you never know when.
I'll be seeing you or something like that at the very end of it. But
good luck and good
luck.
Good luck. Yeah, that was it. Good luck. And that it's sad too because even it affected his voice, and he didn't have that legendary Tony Todd voice, but he still had some gravitas to it. He was still able to pull. It's like they said, like Freddie Mercury when he was, when he was dying of AIDS, and his last performance, visually, when you look at him, you're like, how can anybody pull anything out of him? Because his body looks just like a frail being.
Mhm.
Doesn't look like Freddie Mercury, but
Yeah.
his voice, that was the last thing that they say is his voice was still there. It was still amazing. Same thing with
Mhm.
Elvis. They said the voice was, that was their gift. They couldn't lose the voice. So jumping into this movie, if you haven't seen the movie, guys, we'll talk a little bit of spoilers. We're going to do a quick little spoiler roundup, I guess, about this. We're not going to go through like every plot beat and whatnot, but I guess my first question for you guys is overall, I guess, ranking, where would you rank this amongst the rest of the franchise? Nick, I'll start with you. And what did you like and dislike about it?
So I put Bloodlines at fourth, but I battled between putting it third. After another watch or two, it might go into the top 3 for me. Having said that, I know there's not a single Final Destination movie I don't like aside from The Final Destination. That movie is dog shit, and I'm sorry if anybody likes it. Literally, the producer, Craig Perry, gave an interview yesterday and said that movie sucks. Like, even he was like, it's bad. So I really liked this one.
You didn't like the meat
part.
going through the chain link fence?
Man, that movie, buddy. But yeah, I had issues with the opening simply just because I feel like the more effective openings in this series are the ones that are more believable, the ones that you could find yourself in. I don't know how many people are going to find themselves in basically the fucking Space Needle in Seattle. But having said that, aside from a little bit too much CGI for me and not really caring all that much about the lead, I much preferred people like Bobby and Eric, and I did not
Bobby and
care
Eric
for
were great.
Stephanie. Yeah, Stephanie was just like, whatever. Like, Christian made a joke about how, like, and I thought the same thing when she pulled up to the grandma's house. It was like Halloween 2018. Like, I was just waiting.
Yeah.
I was waiting for her to call her grandmother, and I was going to be
they
out.
borrowed the storyboards or something.
Yeah.
We're investigative journalists.
Yeah. But I don't know. Overall, I gave it 3.5 out of 5. Davey and I are pretty much in lockstep with this movie. We talked about it a little bit in the chat, as I'm sure you saw. And I know you were a little more positive than Davey and I were, but overall, I really enjoyed it. You don't need that much CGI. When they went practical in this movie, it was good. Like the sequence where the ring is on, her finger is like peeling off as she's hanging. That was practical. That was really good. Like, why couldn't we do more practical shit? But it's good. It was definitely, it might be better than 5. I don't know. I
tend to give Final Destination a little bit of leeway in terms of practical versus CG, only because of I guess how big and epic and involved the kills are. They're not just a guy walking up with a knife stabbing you or coming up with a creative kill. No, they're like a chain reaction type thing. So because of how elaborate they're getting, I tend to, as long as it's not like the Final Destination where it really sticks out, like that's Sharknado level bad. Okay.
Yeah.
As long as it still looks somewhat real, then and also there's a nice surprise, I guess. There's a punchline with the kills, then I'm fine with it. And I highlighted Destiny's comment there, Eric, because my God, I loved that character so much. And that's not something
he's the fucking vampire kid from Trick or Treat. Wrong way. That's that fucking dude. I was like, what?
That's not something you get too often in a Final Destination movie, a character that just leaps off the screen that's so fun. And the funny thing is, he wasn't even on the list, but he got it the worst.
Yeah, that was my favorite kill. That twofer in the hospital was my favorite for sure.
It's one of the best in the series, and my theater literally laughed out loud, myself included, when he said, "Is that why he always wanted to play catch?" Like I laughed so hard, and the theater did too. I was like, "That's really good," but like they did a lot really well. And I get what you mean, and you're totally right. Where when you're upping the ante, when the scale is bigger, you're gonna have to use a lot more CGI, and I understand that to a degree. But I will say, Final Destination 2 was almost all practical, and they shut down a highway for that, and
that's true.
They blew up cars and rolled cars, so it's like. This one's a little different. I get that. It's a fucking like sky view or whatever they called it. Like it's different, but I don't know. It just takes some of it's not as visceral to me when the deaths don't look as real. Like but this is Final Destination. They've always kind of lived in that. Like, it's fun. That's the franchise. So maybe I'm just being a Debbie Downer about it. But because I still liked it. But I don't know, man. I don't know.
Well, that opening sequence too. I mean, I could not help but think of Titanic with that opening, because it felt like its own little movie.
Because
like
it was 3 hours long.
Yeah, that whole sequence could have been an entire movie, because once, it does take a while to get to the, the good stuff, but once the disaster starts happening, the scale of it was like, especially seeing it in IMAX on the big screen. Actually, I saw it in Dolby. The sound was amazing, but man, watching that whole thing unfold, and I was like, damn, this feels like Titanic, like how big Titanic was, those big epic disaster movies. That's what it felt like. It felt like one of the biggest opening sequences for a Final Destination movie. And was there some CGI? Yeah, but man, watching those bodies fall and just bounce off and your blood everywhere, and getting pretty crazy with the kills, and like you said, the finger freaking rip off, and I was like, damn, they're getting pretty ambitious. And to highlight Akeem here, he's saying, as someone who works in the industry, I can understand why they use CGI for this movie. But you have to remember, this movie was originally supposed to come straight to HBO Max and not to theaters. And hey, I bet they're thanking their lucky stars that they went to theaters, because this movie made bank.
Evil Dead Rise all over again. This studio. Yeah. What the fuck is it with New Line? Are they dumb? Like, well, yes, they're dumb, but like, I think we've known that for years. But like, that's two movies that they almost pissed away like $200 million each time. Like, we should put this on streaming. Like, what? I wish I could be that bad at business.
10 free memberships. Thank you so much. That was really nice.
Oh, yeah.
Damn,
Davey, what was your actually? Because you said your favorite kill is the MRI kill.
Yeah, love that. It's the twofer, really, because you get the next one after. It's absolutely incredible with that magnet like getting kicked up. Everything with Eric, like, all the piercings and everything. There's some nice, funny moments there that you're not really expecting. And there's another. He gets a laugh where he doesn't even have to say anything. He's got a coffee cup that got a laugh in the theater at the screening I was at, which is anytime you can get a laugh and you don't even have to say anything, that's great. But I do think there was a good, I think there were the trash compactor kill. I think that's the first time we've ever really seen it, like actually seen it, because you don't really see what's going on in, Child's Play 3. And that looked like a practical until they had to switch on the CGI. But that looked like they really almost like the way the forehead split, like a nut cracking, like a like a pistachio nut.
Well, my audience, dude, it was one of those kind of like a slowly building roar, because everybody's watching it and what's going to happen, and you see Steph like reaching for her, and the crowd just starts getting louder and louder and louder, and as it's crushing her slowly, everybody starts the roar turned into laughter. And I'd never experienced an audience reaction like that to a kill in the theater. Usually it's a quick type thing, but I think the MRI kill and that kill are two very different things. But to me, they're almost equally effective in just the audience reaction that you got, because the MRI, it was more of a pacing type thing. We're going to react to this, and then we're going to react to this. Whereas that one, it was just a slow build all the way up. And that's what I loved about this movie so much. It really offered a lot in the way of kills. Jumping over to JG Michael here, he says, how did you guys feel about the entire Steph meeting Iris scene? I thought that was well paced and had build up. Seeing is believing. Loved that. When they go outside, Steph doesn't believe it, and then Iris says, oh yeah, and she gives her life, and she's like, here you go. She gets a freaking what was that? She gets impaled from the back of the head.
It's like a weather vane, right? Yeah. No, I don't know. I honestly felt like that was out of a different movie. The kill was cool. I liked her death, but like the moment I just felt like was like, I don't know. These two don't know each other. Like, of course she comes across as like kooky. She dies like damn near immediately after. It was just kind of like, I don't know, very Halloween 2018 vibes. I just honestly, seriously, like it's all I was thinking about. I was just like, this is, I don't know. And again, maybe I'm just not I'm not a big fan of the character of Stephanie. Like
if that would have happened to Laurie Strode at the beginning of H2 2018, that would have completely changed the trajectory of the movie. It would have been a great movie. Holy shit, they killed Laurie Strode in the first act.
Yeah. When Iris asked Steph if you don't believe in the boogeyman, I was like, what movie am I watching?
Like,
wait,
right?
no,
But you're not far off. You're not far off. That's what it was.
I do love the blood splatter on Steph was great. That looked like a practical splatter. So so that's a nice little shot there. They some good surprises there. But I'm right there with you, Nick. I warmed up to Steph as the movie went on. I didn't feel like the performance was that great, and as the movie went on, I warmed up to the performance. But at the beginning of the movie, there are some moments where I was like, "Oh shit, this chick can't act." When she's talking to her dad at the beginning, or what, I was like, "Oh no, this is going to be rough." But the performance got better, and the ancillary characters are, pretty damn charming, and they actually have defined characteristics, which I think is something that this franchise really struggles with in the lesser entries. I'm talking to you, the Final Destination, and even Final Destination 3, which I think a lot of people give a lot of love to, but to me, it's almost like a series of skits that are connected. The characters just aren't very well defined to me. So the second movie, the fifth movie, and this one, they had better defined characters for me. So I quite enjoyed this one. Honestly, though, this franchise for me is like C+ at best. I don't think it's a great franchise.
Oh, damn.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. To me, it's almost like, well, whatever. I mean, what does this franchise really have? It's almost like a Nightmare on Elm Street, where it's like all about the creative kills. And that's like pretty much where you're going to bank on. And you are going to have some characters you really love, but there's just not, I don't know, like this movie more than any other movies in the franchise had like actual lore. So I thought that was the great thing this one had going for it. But I think, within this franchise, Bloodlines is one of the better entries for sure.
But Davey, my Eric t-shirt's coming in next week. Shit.
I was like, is that Bam Margera's kid? Is that Kyle Gallner's
does look like Bam
nephew?
He's the Kyle Gallner of the movie. Because remember, you brought up how Kyle Gallner stole the spotlight in the Nightmare remake. He stole the spotlight from Steph. So,
I was just gonna say, can we talk about how pointless the dad was? Why the fuck was he? Even in the movie?
God, dude!
He was so
most worthless character ever.
Yeah,
he was the wettest blanket.
Just stop entertaining this. Just stop. I'm gonna put my hand on my forehead and walk away, all sad now. And I'm like, go away. Why are you even here?
Go drink.
Will you die? Will you die already?
Iced tea.
I wish you were blood related. This is bullshit. I don't want to see you live through this movie.
Well, hello there. You just watched an outrageous clip from the Hit the Bricks podcast. I really hope you enjoyed that clip. If you want to see more clips, you can click here or you can click here. And you can just have yourself a ball, all right? And also follow the Hit the Bricks podcast on Spotify as well. Thank you guys. Have a wonderful day.